everybody. We have just heard some wonderful things from Dylan and Devin. Just to give you guys some insight into this, obviously this podcast is coming out near a month after the finale came out. Time really does fly, doesn't it, guys?
Yeah, what the heck? That's so weird.
Time is just like a vortex these days. Like, its days go on 100 hours, but then also a week happens in like 20 minutes, I feel like.
I know. Yeah, so like literally it's, what day is it today? October 27, 1 week away from the election.
Wow.
I think that the finale came out September 30. So we've been kind of filming this podcast in like bits and pieces over the past month. That just shows you how busy things can be. But yeah, so we're just gonna talk through basically every single vote out from this finale. We're gonna eulogize some people. We're gonna do some rankings, some spicy stuff, and kind of close out our third season of Keep Your Torch Lit. Crazy that it was like the middle of the summer when we started doing this.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Now I'm in like Minnesota, and I look out the window and it's like literally snowing. It was 14 degrees.
Oh yeah,
today.
it's been snowing in KC too.
What the heck? I have no concept of season anymore because it is just always 70s and sunny here. I literally I didn't even realize it was almost snow time.
Yeah, time does fly. Except for when you have like orange skies, then all of a sudden like you guys have some weird stuff going on with your weather.
That was one day. It's fine.
That's just like every time I think of when I think of like San Francisco and like the weather, and I just think of like fires now.
No, there's no. Our air quality's so good now. It's just 70s and sunny.
So Sarah, my dad's been telling me that San Francisco is an anarchist hellscape right now with like no laws. Is that true? That's what he's seen on Fox News.
No, it's very regulated. I don't know what he's talking about.
Are there still police officers?
Shit together. No, it's like normal.
Wow.
But maybe I've been here so long that this is just normal to me, but it's like actually messed up.
I thought that you guys abolished the police and have open borders, though.
There's no such thing as property anymore. Just everything is burned to the ground.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, man, I must be looking at the wrong news sources or something. I don't know. It's not quite lining up.
I have not been. I have not been reading the news recently. I don't have time.
We all have the election in our mind too. Me and Jack are probably obsessing a little bit too much.
Do you guys get November 3rd off? Because I just realized I have that day.
You have the day off?
Yeah, it wasn't on the calendar, but they just told us we do.
I wish I did.
Actually,
it's true.
Have the day off.
I wish I'm pretty glad that I don't, because I want to like just do work all day and not try to just like distract myself from everything. And then just probably, I don't know.
Well, whoever is listening to this and at some point in the future, you probably already know the outcome of the election. Crazy. So lucky you. You don't have anything to stress about. Or maybe you do.
Isn't it like usually the night of? Like the 4th?
Yes, but this one could be different.
Because of a lot of voting, of delays in counting ballots, like mail-in ballots and stuff, especially in the Midwest.
Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably going to be court battles and yada, yada, yada. But let's talk about the votes that don't really matter. The Survivor Michigan Season 3 votes, starting at the Final 5.
These votes actually do matter. I was saying the other day, we're giving these people so much practice in voting that they have no excuse to not come out to the polls.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but what if Survivor people are just too used to writing the name down of the person they want to vote out, and everybody votes for Trump, and then
oh shoot. Well, that's where you need to have Jeff Probst or Cooper come in and say, now these votes, you're not voting for the person you want to vote out. You're voting for the person that you
don't
want
to get a Christie in the Amazon situation going, you know? Have you heard that conspiracy theory? Yeah.
No, what's that conspiracy theory?
Well, you know, Christie in the Amazon, she was the one that was like deaf, right? So apparently, like, she didn't like really fully understand like the conspiracy. Like, she said that. So basically, she ended up voting for Jenna, even though she kind of like hated Jenna. And like she said that like, oh, you know, I just kind of respected her answers at Tribal, but the conspiracy theory is that she didn't like hear or understand the part where Jeff says, "Remember, you're voting for the winner." And not voting out.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's a conspiracy. I don't know. I don't think it's true.
That's so
I want to give her the benefit of the doubt, but yeah, that is a thing that I've seen online.
Wow, Jack spreading conspiracy theories. You were buying right into. You should work for Facebook or something at this rate.
We're getting political on this episode. Wow.
We really have the politics in mind. Let's get back to the final five.
I already tried to transition once, so let's actually get there.
You did. You really did. You tried your darndest. Yeah. So what do you guys think about like the strategy for this kind of round here?
Wait, which round are we talking
about? The final five. So this is when Will was voted off.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, Will just could not have made it to the end. Like, he was, even though he was kind of crazy and like kind of pissed people off sometimes, like he did still have like a pretty good social game, and like is the face of a lot of moves, I think. So I think it was a good strategy to boot him while they still could. And he's someone who in that final challenge that it's like, what is it, like willpower?
Yeah.
Literally willpower. He would not let go, so you would not want to be up against him.
True. Plus, he might, spread Will syndrome to you, and at this point, safety is number one priority.
Exactly.
But I don't know. At the same time, just to play the devil's advocate a little bit here, or the Will's advocate, or I guess not Will's advocate. I just don't see how many votes he could really get at Final Tribal Council. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people who like really are not a fan of Will. So I'm not sure if it was the right move to like boot him here. If you're somebody like,
well, what if he was like up against Devin and like, do you think he would have beat Devin?
I think so. Elisa the other day was talking about how like she might have even voted for Will over Devin. Like, she really valued like Will's game. To be fair, like Elisa was one of Will's closest allies, but like I do think that I personally think Will would have ended up beating Devin if they went to the final two.
I don't know if this even could have happened, but like, what if it's like a Will, Aaron, Devin final three, and then either Aaron or Will could win immunity, and they bring the other person? I feel like Aaron wins that.
I think Aaron beats.
So I feel like it's in her best interest to try to, like, I feel like, do you think? Well, I guess maybe Will would bring Devin in that situation. I don't know. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, no, I know.
Just trying to like. I feel like there's like some way or reason for somebody like Aaron to want to bring Will to the end, or like close to the end. No,
I totally agree.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just doing the meat shield philosophy.
Yeah.
Maybe, but sorry, go on.
So, kind of one of the things from the final six, where I don't know if we talked about this a lot, was that Brady and Aaron were really considering. They knew they had to turn on Dylan and Cassie, and they were considering using Will to do that. And I think that Brady's plan was to get rid of Devin, and then for him, Aaron, and Will to team up and get rid of Dylan and Cassie after Devin was gone. And I wonder if they made a mistake in not telling that to Will, or if like after, Brady was blindsided, Aaron and Cassie made a mistake in not trying to team up with Will, because, obviously everybody didn't know about Dylan and Devin, but like hindsight's 2020. Like we know now, definitely would have been better for Aaron, Cassie, and Will if they had teamed up a final 5, because all of them would have been, Will could have made it the final 3 with them, and then Aaron would have. Cassie might have even brought Aaron to the final 2. Remember how Cassie kept saying like, "Oh, like I think I could, beat Aaron and get all the votes to the final tribal."
Yeah,
I think that maybe Devin did a really good job of like making sure Will and Aaron didn't really talk to each other, but I kind of feel like that might have been a bit the biggest mistake is for both Will and Aaron. I don't know if it was possible for them to work together, but I think that it was in both their best interests.
Yeah, I feel like they almost kind of pulled a similar thing with Will as like Sarah did with me. Not to just like bring it back to me because I feel like I do that too much, but like I feel like they really just like made Will not want to talk to Aaron. Like they being like Dylan. I mean, yeah, Dylan and Devin like really tried to like make Will not want to talk to Aaron, and like Will was, I think he even had like a confession or something about like not wanting to mess it up by talking to her there. So I don't know. I think they definitely played it well. They being, again, Dylan and Devin. But yeah. I feel like just speaking from this kind of hindsight 2020 that we can, like it definitely seems like that could have been the thing to do.
Yeah. No, yeah, I definitely see the parallels there, and like Maggie and you and Maggie kind of being a parallel to Will and Aaron, and that like, yeah. I know it's tough, and like, I don't know. I mean, Will did tell Aaron our strategic relationship is dead, which I think was a big mistake on his part. Like maybe it was true, but I don't know. The whole final 6 thing, it was clear that Aaron just wanted people to promise her final 2, even if they didn't mean it. And if Will would have just done that, even if he would have lied about it, like I know his whole thing was like, I'm just going to be straight up with you. He should have just lied to her and been like, yeah, Aaron, like I'll do whatever you want. I'll take you to the final 2. Instead, he was like, I'm going to let everybody in the game know that Aaron is my number 1 target and blah, blah, blah. And I don't think that was the best direction for him to go.
Yeah.
I don't know. Will and Aaron, like they've had such a like very up and down relationship the whole game.
Honestly, Will's relationships with everyone were like all over the place.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Should we do you think it's time to eulogize our friend Will? Is there any other hypotheticals you think that he could have done at the final 5 other than just win immunity and not let Aaron win?
Maybe just be a little more like open to going to the end with anyone at that point. Like,
yeah,
there comes a point where you just have to like get to the end versus like winning, thinking about like actually winning. Like you want to get there in the first place.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because like I think Will even in his confessional says something like, I feel like I'm putting myself into a box here where like I don't have any relationship with Cassie or Aaron, and it's like you don't want to be in the final 5 where like 2 of the people you're never going to work with them.
Exactly.
Like, yeah. Instead of like he just put himself in this box, like I need to go with Dylan Devin, and yeah. I think that he probably would have said the same thing.
Yeah, just like me putting myself in the box, not wanting to work with Nick or Lucy, you know?
So many parallels, man. All right, shall we eulogize our good friend Will? Dr. Aerospace. All right. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we talked about a decent amount of it, but Will was quite a big character in the show. It was definitely entertaining from start to finish. He had some high highs. He had some low lows. He had a good game, a really strong game near the beginning of the merge, but the combination of the Ben bomb and that demerge really, I think, took away his power. And he was able to scramble and like, find a way to make it further, but he was never really able to gain his footing and be on top of the game.
I do feel like it's pretty impressive though that like he was able to find strength for a while though. Like after how massively you can't plan for something like the demerge, and how much he was able to he could have easily been out at 10, 9, 8, 7, but he's able to make it all the way to 5, and that is like pretty goddamn impressive.
Yeah. He changed his number 1. Think of how many times he changed his number 1. Like his number 1 was Ben, then it was Emily, then it was Eliza, then it was Devin. Like he was able to constantly like, oh, someone's gone. Like, all right, I'm going to change my complete game plan. He changed his game plan. Like,
I feel like that's like one of the biggest themes of the season as a whole. It's just like adaptability and changing things and like changing who you're working with. And like, I feel like Will might have embodied that almost more than anybody else. Maybe with the exception of like Aaron, but yeah.
Yeah. 100%. So ultimately, there was just so far that if it was somebody that's that chaotic of a player, unless you can really win those big immunities down the stretch, there's sometimes just only so far you can go. So that Aaron's immunity streak definitely hurt him, and impressive that he made it to the finale. Though I'm glad we got to see these crazy Will driving confessionals.
I'm not exactly sure of the numbers, but like it kind of feels like he might have had the most confessionals of anybody. Is that true? I don't know.
I would not be surprised. He filmed the most video. He probably has just sheer like hours of footage. I can guarantee he has the most of anybody in the whole season. And confessionals tend to be pretty proportional to just how much sheer footage do you have. And he had a lot. All right. Shall we place Will on our
so you're saying before, sure, I don't know if this was recorded or not, but like we haven't actually technically done the 5th place through 1st place for season 2 either, right? So we have to rank everybody.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited for this. We have never ranked anyone from 5th to 1st, so we get to. This is all fresh. We have Will. We have Mike from season 2. Good old Mike Baker. And we have
Alex. So it's 8/14, October 27th, and I'm here with Sam and Sarah, and I'm going to rank the top 5 players.
Aw, I miss Mike.
Yeah. Oh man. Glad we got to see a little Mike cameo here. So I guess let's start with comparing Mike with Thal, and then we can throw Will in there. I don't know. So Thal had an extremely good social game. Like everybody loved Thal.
Never mind.
I'm just thinking like all 3 of them, they definitely all played very kind of different games. I feel like Thal and Mike were both similar in that they were like really kind of steady and not super like chaotic. Will was more chaotic than the both of them. But I want to say that like Mike didn't make as many moves as Will did.
Well, what moves did Will make? Like what were his moves? I feel like Will was just more like. I feel like I can't think of any moves that Will actually made.
I feel like Will's story is more of a story of kind of like frantic survival, than actually being spearheading moves.
Well, Will's biggest move was putting together the majority alliance that ended up blindsiding. They ended up getting rid of Ben and basically taking control of the game. I think because that Innovatrium alliance of 7, remember how he was like, I made this alliance and it almost killed me. Of him, Emily, Aaron, and then the Sabu Sabu 4. Obviously Emily played a part in that, and Eliza and everybody played a part in it, but I think Will really was the one that spearheaded creating that alliance and then was able to get out Jesse and Ben kind of back to back. And Chloe. I think that Chloe blindside, I also give a lot of credit to Will, because if you remember, Emily didn't really want to do that. She was saying we should make our move later. Will saying we need to make our move now and save Austin. So that Chloe, Jesse, Ben back to back to back, I think I give Will most of the credit for those.
Well, I want to go to
games.
bat for my boy Mike a little bit here.
Yeah.
I feel like Mike had like we talked about this a lot last season, but like he had such a pivotal role in a kind of understated way in a lot of big parts of the game. Like he was able to build like a good enough relationship with me to like want, and well, obviously especially Sarah, like number one, like above all, like being able to like build that huge cross tribal thing. Through like one of like probably like the biggest power player of all of season 2. And then also being able to build a good enough social relationship with me that I felt like I was kind of like the one that was closer with Mike and wanting to like come around merge time instead of going through like the basic easy Ohana Pagonging we could have done, that like we wanted to kind of like swing with him and Mallory. And then he was also the one who kind of really was one who started going towards like voting against Sam at Final 8 instead of going along with that plan. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of ways that Mike was like really good at positioning himself like to get further in the game without really ever having that big of a target until like really he went out. And I feel like there's a lot more instances where I can see Mike getting to the end of the game and winning versus like I find it really hard to see Will getting to the end of the game and winning.
Yeah, and like I think it's just like people forget
that's true.
how pivotal Mike was because he was so chill and calm about everything. Whereas like Will was super neurotic about things, and Thal also got pretty excited. But yeah, Mike was just like very, very calm, never panicked, literally, just like always accepted what was going to happen.
But like not even that he just like went too much with the flow. Like he did like stop and like change things and like kind of
exactly.
Like I feel like you could almost describe him being as like too much, being like I'm a frapper. I'm just gonna like go with what's going on. But like he did like I feel like have a pivotal role in changing things to a few like key parts of the game. And I feel like he was able to do that without having Will syndrome. Like Mike syndrome is just being able to like chill, take a step back, maybe like play some beer pong with the bros and be like, nah, maybe we shouldn't vote out this guy. Maybe we should go with him.
I definitely see like this kind of like the opposite thing where Will was like super extra paranoid and Mike was maybe not paranoid enough. And at the final 5, he didn't really see a blind side coming. He was kind of just like, oh yeah, like I trust my allies, like they're fine. So I think I would say that's the one detriment to his game is that I didn't really see him making a ton of alliances outside of Sarah. I mean, yes, he made an alliance with you, Jack, and with Mallory, but who did he have? He kind of ran out of people that were loyal to him at a certain point. And maybe it was because he just like trusted that Sarah and Mallory wouldn't turn on him, so that he didn't need to make any more. I mean, I think that's just like a thing where he was maybe a little bit too comfortable with his alliances, and Will was a little bit too paranoid and like ended up driving some people away. So,
and you know what? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I definitely liked that. Yeah, you're good. I was going to say I definitely liked that he had really good timing with his moves. Like he made some like really subtle moves, but they definitely had good timing. Like the final 8, for example, I thought was really good.
What I was going to say is like, you know who I feel like was a pretty good like medium in between the two was Alex Thal. Yeah. I feel like he had like the great social ability of Mike, and also, you know, he had a healthy amount of paranoia, not too much paranoia, but like I feel like he was definitely always, you know, worried about his place in the game, worried about his place with Tarowsky, like willing to make, you know, a move or trying to get somebody else on the other side. I mean, it's something that all three of them did, I guess, is trying to get somebody from the other side. But like, I feel like Thal was kind of like the best of both attributes of like all of them. So I think for me personally, I'll go out and say that right now. I think for me, it's Thal, then Mike, then Will. But
I think so too. I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, because like if you run the game multiple times, Will burns out earlier, more of the time than the other two, or just finds some way to like explode his game. I think the other two are more consistent.
I really would love to see a season of Fall without Tarowsky. Like, I really feel like, and sometimes he was almost kind of like handicapped by,
Yeah.
Tarowsky, like, like famously, like it's Liz vote, but like I feel like he on his own and like, running the simulations 100 times, if he wasn't in this season particularly, like I feel like he could do like really, really well again and again.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Fall on number one. I think that the thing between Mike and Will for me is like, I feel like Will definitely had higher highs and had way more control than Mike ever did. But I definitely see what you're saying in that if you played the season over a bunch of times, Mike will probably make it further more times because he is just very steady, consistent, non-threat. He was threatening in that he was like social and seemed athletic, but not like
exactly
too intimidating, So I felt like he struck a really good balance. He had a good social game. A part of me is like, I just really respect when somebody is able to make big moves and really like take control of the entire game, but Will only had that for kind of a short time and kind of burned out after that. So I'm okay with
I think just what it comes down to for me is just it's really hard for me to imagine a lot of scenarios in which Will makes it all the way to the end, like not even just winning, but like even getting to the final period too, where I can imagine a ton of different ways in which Mike gets to the end and wins. Like maybe Sarah takes him and the jury's really bitter against Sarah and Mike wins, or like Mike could be Mike could vote out Sarah at Final Four, or like Sarah could get voted out at Final Four, or even just not even like including Sarah and stuff. I just feel like there's so many different ways I can see Mike kind of slipping by, and like I really feel like Will kind of has to like immunity his way to the end.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like Will kind of has a wall that he hits at a certain point. A Will wall, yep. Alrighty, so there are rankings. We have Fall, then Mike, then Will. All right, let's go and move on to the Final Four. So Erin once again wins immunity when she really needs it. So Cassie, her kryptonite really is names in this episode.
She cannot remember the boot order. Or maybe she can, but she just didn't know who it was. Like she couldn't associate the name with the face.
Yeah, she's like, we're like, well, they're studying and stuff. And gosh, you just can't say the name.
Yeah. I feel like she talked about that a little bit. But, you listened to that podcast back to back. I feel like we recorded that with Cassie like weeks ago at this point. So I'm like trying to remember what she said.
She was still bad at names.
Anyways, she definitely...
I'm not entirely sure if she knew each of us that she was talking to, but you know what?
So like, I don't know. I feel like Cassie really has had a lot of trust in Dylan, and maybe that's kind of how this whole finale just didn't really go her way, because like, I don't know, she didn't really start scrambling until it was maybe a little bit too late.
Yeah, I think she thought she had it in lock, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, but she says that she knew that Dylan was close to Devin, but maybe she was like fine with that because she was like, I'm still closer to him.
And I do really feel for her, and like, she talked about this a lot in our podcast with her, that she just had like such a busy schedule with work and class and everything that like it was hard for her to have as many meetings and like even just confessionals and stuff as other people. So I can see how maybe that would make it harder for her to realize these things, or to like, I don't know, just like want to be more trusting of people. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree. I kind of wish, I think she said that like, she quit her job like right as she got out of Survivor. And I was thinking like, I wish she quit at the very beginning and instead had like a full season where she had all this extra time to invest in Survivor, because she clearly knew the game. Like she really knew the game. She just didn't have as much time.
She was
to really
incredibly
invest
mature for a freshman, so.
Nobody else gets this joke.
No, this is just a joke for us.
Yes. I don't know. So this big thing in the Final Four is like Cassie trying to get Aaron to flip and cause a tie. And like, I really wish this happened. Like, I love how the season played out, but like, imagine if we had a Final Four.
Yeah,
it's the first time in entire Michigan history we did have a Final Four tie.
And it would have been Aaron really. Yeah, right. Aaron really needed, and I think Aaron like really needed to do that in order to make it. Which obviously, like, in Aaron's mind, Cassie didn't promise her Final Two where the other two guys had. So that's a big thing. Like, Cassie really should have promised Aaron Final Two and been like, Aaron, I will bring you to the Final Two. Please make it a tie. You know, maybe she would have considered it, but yeah, because Aaron didn't even believe the whole thing that Dylan and Devin were close when Cassie told her.
Yeah, I mean, like just that kind of a circumstance of like limited knowledge and stuff and wanting to trust. Yeah, feel bad, but that's what happened.
Yep, that's what happens. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like everything just kind of went wrong. Cassie would have probably had a good chance of making the finals if Aaron had not won Final Four. Because I think that if Cassie's in the Final Three, Dylan and Devin are probably
even if there
both
was,
thinking of taking her to the finals.
Yeah, I
like
feel
the
like
whole
there's 100%.
Final Three thing messed it up. I mean, the Final Two thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like there's a 100% chance of her making the Final Two if she makes it to the Final Three. Because either she wins, which honestly is a pretty good high probability. Like, you know, she did, you know, run track and stuff.
Yeah.
And or like I definitely feel like either of Dylan or what's his name? The other one, I'm really bad at names. Sorry, Dylan. Shit. Well, one of them would have. Sorry, one of them would have taken it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna start to eulogize Cassie here, I think that she had a lot of knowledge of the game, and she had the skill set she needed. Like, you know, she was athletic, good at challenges and stuff. She, you know, had a strategic mind. She was able to, you know, make alliances. We saw her do it with Aaron. I think that it was really just like that third tribal council really hurt her reputation. And then just like being as busy as she was as a freshman with a job and all the other stuff. I think that she was just a little bit more outside a lot of the conversations that were happening, and she didn't have the respect that she needed as a player. Even though she could have made a good pitch and she was very perceptive, like we even saw, like seeing how perceptive she was in the little amount of time she was able to invest in the game. Like imagine if she was able to invest a lot of time into the game, because she was I think that she would have been really, really good. So, yeah. I mean, obviously we're talking here about like, oh, you know, Dylan or Devin would have probably taken her to the end because they would have probably beat her. Cassie did like have a game plan that allowed her to get very far. And I think that if she would have just had more time, she would have really been a contender.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Because she had all the pieces.
It would be very interesting to see her play again. I don't know if that would happen, but I feel like if she were able to put all of her stuff into like energy into playing the game, like I could definitely see her making a run, especially if people kind of underestimate her based on this season. But I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say that she's at least ahead of Sarah Z in our season 4 ranking, in our top 3 rankings.
Oh,
like
no,
Sarah, what do you think?
Pioneers.
Yeah, she doesn't really have an argument.
Definitely lost.
So, yeah, I think I'm pretty solid in putting her ahead of Sarah for the top 4 rankings.
Yeah, the real question is who's second between Leia and Sarah. You know, because Cassie's obviously. But yeah, in all seriousness, we have 3 fourth-place finishers, all from Pioneer High School. So, in all seriousness, going through the ranking, I think that it's safe to say that Cassie is in third, and no offense to Cassie, but Sarah and Leia were both people that were probably one vote away from winning the game. I think that in both cases, if they'd made the final tribal, Leia would have won in season 1. Maybe it would have been close between Tarowsky. Sarah would have likely won season 2. And I don't think that Cassie was in a position where she would have won guaranteed if she got to the finals. So it's between Sarah and Leia here. What do you guys think?
My position pretty clear on this podcast in the past. I feel like I even talked about this in last season, but like I do think Sarah has a case of being the best Survivor Michigan player ever. And I'm not just saying that because you're here. I would have even said that if I thought you weren't connected to the podcast. So,
oh my gosh.
I do think I want to put her ahead of Leia. I feel like she was able to really control like most of the game in season 2. Where I mean, Leia like also did a really impressive job of surviving a lot of votes and like also being like a good like a strategic force and a social force. But I just feel like she didn't have as great of a control as Sarah did, and as like close of connections with people like across the spectrum as Sarah did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Honestly, the thing that I think it comes down to, because like I don't want to minimize Leia's game at all. It's just someone who like was an extremely good player. But like the thing is, Sarah, I don't think that you ever voted in the minority, even up until when you were voted off. It was a tie. So Sarah basically had control over the entire game. And you pretty much always knew everything that was going on at basically every single tribal council. So that's almost a near perfect game.
Yeah, I will say though,
it's hard to do
Leia
any better than
idol,
that,
which is something I did not do.
And I think that if you,
so that was pretty cool.
It's true. You won. How many meetings did you win? Did you win 1 or 2?
Oh, I won 1.
Oh, did you win? Okay. I think Leia maybe 1, 2. I feel like if we're coming down to like immunities, I don't know. Yeah, I guess Leia found an idol. That is something. Did she?
So,
but like,
do you want to? Do you know what I think though? It kind of comes down to, you can boil it down to this. So, like looking at literally just Final 4, Leia was in a position to go to the finale, but like, you know, a lot of it's you can blame Mitch and stuff, but at the end of the day, Mitch did kind of like flip from wanting to be with her and like, you know, being her closest ally to being kind of like manipulated the other way, and like Leia was not in a position of power is kind of what I'm trying to say in this situation. Mm-hmm. Whereas Sarah was able to flip Lucy at the last second by one of the most like ingenious Survivor moves ever to even like be close to a chance of getting to the end. And like, I feel like that kind of like sums up where it is. Like, I feel like Leia was like definitely in a great position, awesome Survivor player. Like, don't get me wrong at all, but like at the end of the day, like she did have kind of opportunities slip away from her fingers. I feel like sometimes, whereas I feel like Sarah was always like making things go towards her way and always like trying to figure out like what would be the best for Sarah Z in this moment, you know?
I agree. I really, you know, obviously emotions are involved in the game and whatnot, but I really, really did not like that Final 4 move that Mitch and Leia made. It was just bad Survivor. It just really was. Yeah. And Sarah did not make a move like that. That was just bad Survivor. I mean, it literally came down to the final tiebreaker question. So, yeah, you're one tiebreaker question away from winning the game, whereas Leia, she lost a tiebreaker too, but she didn't ever really need to be in that tiebreaker. It was just kind of bad gameplay. So yeah, I definitely think that I would agree with
Sarah. What do you think
in the first place there?
I just feel very honored to be ranked by 2 legends as number 1. Yeah.
Yes, I'll rank by 2. It goes from oldest to youngest, and from Pioneer. So either one day we'll have a really old person from Pioneer who will be like a god tier Survivor player, or we'll have like a really, really bad player. So we'll have to see. Cool. All right, Sarah, Z is number 1, Leia is number 2, and in third place is Cassie. Let's move on to the final 3 with wonderful friends Aaron, Devin, and Dylan.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that we definitely talked a bit about the strategy here, but I just want to say, brilliant move by Dylan to lose that on purpose. He mentioned it when he was on as a guest that like he knew that whoever won that immunity was probably going to lose Aaron's vote, and every vote counted in this final tribal. You know, like there were a lot of votes up for grabs, and losing Aaron's vote would have been pretty costly for Dylan, I think.
For sure.
Props for that.
Yeah.
I don't think there was much more Aaron could have. Aaron made a really good pitch, to be fair. She made a really good pitch to Devin.
You know, just want immunity.
What was her pitch again?
Yeah.
She really, yeah. So her pitch was that, you know, when you get to the final 2, it's not as much about bringing the person that played the worst game. It's about bringing the person that you match up with better. And she was arguing to Devin that she matches up better. Again, he matches up better against her because she's never going to get. Oh yeah, she's never going to get like Ben's vote or Will's vote.
Yeah, that's
or
a good
Emily
point.
P's vote. Whereas Dylan could get their votes. That was her argument. And so, like, I felt like that was a good argument. I don't know if I'd agree with it, but it was definitely it was the argument she needed to make to Devin. It's just he's not going to make a mistake that bad at the final 3. He's too smart.
Any insider information from that final challenge?
So, well, I remember Devin, we talked about the thing where Devin had his little hand warmers that he won in the reward challenge, and I don't know, maybe it gave him some sort of mental boost. I remember like that day I was like with my dad, my brother or something. We went to get lunch, and I was like, oh, I'm so excited! Like today is the final immunity. After lunch, like we can go stop by and see what's going on. And I was expecting it to go like all day. And then like we were halfway through lunch and I got a text like, oh, it's already over. I was just like, what? Like I was so disappointed. I was like really, first of all, I was rooting for Aaron to win. But then I heard Aaron lost. I was like, oh, also the challenge is over. It's been like 30 minutes, 45 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I was like camping out.
I was expecting it to be like season 2 or like 6 hours.
Like, yeah. I definitely feel like, you know, the challenge not live up to that epicness just because of, you know, the person that you're rooting for. Just as a fan, I feel like a lot of people are rooting for Aaron. Like dropping out so soon just kind of hurts.
And also, season 1 was also epic.
Oh,
that
yeah.
one lasted a long time too.
Yeah.
And the ending really crazy.
And the pretzels and everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know. I feel like it's just because the challenge is like balancing on something. It's not as much willpower as it was like. Yeah, like your leg could just twitch. My legs physically hurt. Aaron's like shoes slipped off.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
It was a little more skill. Like it reminded me of the one in basically. Actual Survivor where you have to hang on to that pole at the top.
Yeah, the Ozzy one.
Yeah,
that Ozzy wins every time.
Yeah, like that takes some skill.
I mean, even then though, I feel like we copied this challenge from Maryland, and I feel like every single time I watch this challenge,
I feel
Maryland,
like
it's also not as cold.
Like a million years.
Yeah.
I don't know if
it's one that if you really want to win, like you can stay in for a while. But also, I feel like once Aaron was out, like Aaron didn't like really feel like she needed to win, and then like neither of Dylan and Devin really felt like they needed to win. So like, yeah.
Imagine that challenge though with like Will, Ben.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
And, like who else? Like Austin.
Will, imagine Ben, like the final 3 is me and
Austin
you two,
and Brady.
Oh my god.
It would still be on that.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Or
that would have been.
We talked before about us 3 and Maggie if we had been pushed in the cube. man. Yeah, that endurance stuff sucks. It's just, yeah. So that's the thing is I am a little bit sad we didn't get to see like a mental endurance, like who wants it the most kind of final immunity. But, we had really good lighting. It was shot at golden hour. Ian kept talking about how beautiful lighting was when he was editing it. Got to see, it's one of the few times in the challenges where we could actually like see people's faces because it wasn't at like 11 p.m. But yeah, poor Erin goes home. She was blindsided. I feel like that was a bad move by Devin. I don't know why he blindsided her. There was really no point at that point to blindside her.
Do you think she would have voted for him though?
I don't think I can beat you. Sorry. Like to give her hope. Like,
there's more of a chance.
But it's better, yeah.
Well, I feel like it's a
I don't
combination.
know, maybe not, but like
Dylan stepping off and Richard Hatch like already puts it into like Devin having to be to blame for it, but like him kind of screwing it up makes it even worse,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just at that point it just doesn't make sense to blindside somebody. Like I know he had his whole like he wanted to reveal him and Dylan's relationship as this big bomb at Final Tribal Council, and that's fine, but there's no need, I don't think, to blindside Erin at the final 3 because there's nothing she can do about it at that point. But even then, Devin does win immunity. Good to add that to the resume. And Erin is our fallen angel of the season. Rob got us at last year.
But different scenarios.
Relatable, Sarah, right?
With how it happened.
Different scenarios. Yep.
Yeah,
so
I still
shall
maintain
we
that Erin has
eulogize
one of the
Erin?
like most up and down games I've ever seen. Like
week
1, she was at the bottom of Tormenta. People were like making fun of her and she didn't know. Like she just seemed very like she didn't know what was going on. And then all of a sudden at one point she was like controlling the votes. Like she was the swing vote. And then she became like most likely to win and became this huge threat. Got a little bit cocky at one point, but like that's what happens when you're on top. It was just like, this whole arc.
Yeah, you're so right, Sarah. Like she's like every role you can possibly be in Spider. Like you're the dumbass, you're the great underdog, you have control, you're using it well, you have like too much power and people too in control. People fight against
Made enemies, made friends.
Yeah. Won immunity when it needed. Like
she found an idol. Yeah. She won immunities. She was a challenge beast.
I mean,
she was like bad at challenges, and she was a challenge beast.
Like Will might have had the most confessionals, but I think this is the season of Erin. Like I feel like the story of the season is the story of Erin.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. And I feel like Erin gets to cross a lot of things off the Survivor bucket list, other than really just winning. Like she really did get to do a lot of different things, and just watching her whole story is so satisfying from start to finish. Obviously, sad at the very end.
I think her story sums up Maized and Confused.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the redemption arc was fun.
Like she represents the season pretty well.
Yeah, and like it's not even that she's kind of like happened really into like a good position. Like she kind of did get lucky at some points, but also I feel like she had such a great ability like to make connections with people and to like eventually realize when she was on the bottom and realize that like to reach out to these different people and flip to other sides and stuff. Like she played such a hell of a game to like put her in a position of being a threat. She didn't luck into it at all.
Yeah, like she made the effort and
she really did.
She hung out with people, always bought them food.
Yeah.
Like ice cream,
Now if we're gonna talk about Erin's downfall, I think that it was like a quality that's I think can be a really good quality to have as like a friend, as a person. But in Survivor, it's tough that she was maybe a little bit too trusting, and that she always wanted to trust somebody, and like she trusted people too much. And she was really big into the loyalty thing. But I think that other people weren't necessarily as loyal to her as she was to them, other than Brady, really. Because after that, she had pledged her loyalty to Dylan and to Devin. And I think after that, she kind of just like expected that would help carry her to the end, when really maybe she should have doubted them a little bit more and went with Cassie. Or, maybe she should have screwed over some of those people that she was loyal to at the very end. I think that's the big thing, is that like she just, when it was in the Final Four, she can tie it with Cassie, and I think that gives her a better chance at making it to the end. But she just trusted Devin and Dylan so much that she didn't really consider it. And as a thing, obviously the trusting thing, it was really sad to see at the beginning when she had all this trust with Ben and Emily and Will, and thought she was in alliance with them, and obviously she wasn't. So I kind of saw that as like a theme of her game, where it definitely made her a really good ally to have, because you knew that you could depend on her.
For sure.
But I think it definitely kind of bit her in the ass a few times too. And yeah, I don't know, but really it's kind of similar thing as like when we were talking about your game, Sarah, where like at the end of the day, if you're that close to winning, you can't complain too much. We're really you just needed to win that challenge. For Sarah, you just needed to win that tiebreaker. Aaron just needed to win that final immunity, and that was. You can nitpick games as much as you want, but that's really what it comes down to in the end, Because I really don't think that anyone. Maybe I don't even know if Cassie would have taken Aaron to the end, if it's Cassie, Aaron, and Devin, or Cassie, Aaron, and Dylan. Aaron really just needed to win immunities, and she had an impressive run, but ultimately just one immunity short. So let us place Aaron in the iconic third place.
First member of the third place pantheon to not make final tribal council.
Well, yeah, we have some queens in this third place club here. We have Brittany, we have Lucy, and we have Aaron.
And unique, strategic
Three incredible characters. Yeah. Yes, they all played very different.
Side note, it's very interesting that
favorites, I think,
Final Five was all male, and Final Four and
I was thinking that
all
too.
Women.
Yeah. And 4 was all girls too.
It is funny.
Yeah.
Wait, is second place all men?
And then first place is all
Mallory.
Actually, no, Mallory.
Yeah, Mallory breaking that glass ceiling. Yeah.
And so is 2.
Yeah.
Mallory's the only one in the Final 5 that was different gender. That's funny. Dang. Yes. Breaking that glass ceiling. So, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just without even much debate, I would definitely just put Aaron first out of this group. No disrespect to Brittany or Lucy, but they both made Final Tribal and lost, whereas Aaron would have won. So I feel like that in itself is like.
Because, like, if you run the game multiple times, does Aaron always get herself out of that situation? But then also, if she was on a different tribe, she might have not even been in that situation in the first place. It might have just been the Tormenta thing. Yeah.
I feel like Aaron is likable enough, is strategic enough, and is good at challenges enough that she's going to consistently end up, like, towards the end, like, in a, if you're just running a season over and over again.
Yeah. And if you look at the Final 5, Aaron would have beat anybody in the Final 5, whereas Brittany, I mean, what combination of the Final 5 do you think she would have won? Like, I think that this is maybe the one where she had the best chance, honestly. I think that Thal would have beat any of them.
Probably.
Or Leia would have.
I feel like the running a season 100 times is like useful as like a tiebreaker when they are kind of like in similar positions to winning the game. Right. But like in a case like this where Aaron actually legitimately was close to winning the game, and Brittany in this situation really wasn't that close to winning the game, like I feel like it's pretty safe to say to rank Aaron above her.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And Brittany had a lot of great perception. I think we talked about that during all season 1. It's just that I think that our biggest criticism was that she wasn't able to change other people's perceptions of her, and she wasn't able to really pull off big moves on her own. Whereas Aaron did make some big moves, and Aaron was able to, change perception of her from being kind of this weak player that didn't know what was going on to this power player that was controlling the game. The whole perception changed on Aaron, whereas I don't think that really happened for Brittany. And maybe if it had, maybe if Brittany was able to change perception, it would have been a different story. But I think that ultimately it was just a lot harder for Brittany to win.
And I think moving down the ranking, because we have to
Brittany was still an excellent player,
though. Yeah, I do think that we can put Brittany above Lucy.
Yeah.
As much as we love Lucy in so many ways, I think that Brittany's game sense and ability to even win at the end, I feel like you can kind of pretty safely put her ahead of Lucy. Although Lucy probably would be able to survive on a desert island better than Brittany.
100%. Yeah, I mean the big thing there too is Lucy came into the game not really knowing a lot about Survivor or how to play, versus Brittany came in as a super fan. So I think that exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah, bring it all the way back to the start. Wow, Brittany, the one that came up with this name. But yeah, it's Lucy. It took when Lucy started learning the game. I think we started seeing a lot of potential out of her, but it was just a little bit. I think it was just too little, too late for Lucy, and that she really didn't start coming alive till, the last couple episodes. Whereas Brittany, kind of knew the game from the start. So
cool.
Yeah, I'm comfortable putting Lucy in third. We are now at the final 2. So I guess we can just give a few brief thoughts about Tribal Council, and then I don't know, because again we talked a decent amount about the final Tribal and all that stuff, but I don't know, what are some overall thoughts you guys have?
Who do you guys think had the best question?
I really liked how Ben started it off. I don't know, I feel like he definitely just set the tone. I don't know, maybe not the best question, it's just the one that sticks out the most to me. The moment from this final Tribal that sticks out more than almost any other is Ben asking Devin about his social game.
Yeah, that was
Devin kind of being well, the social game didn't really matter. Sorry. I made the relationships I needed to make. I just thought that was really bad on Devin's part, but I just I like the fact that I think it was Ben and Will both brought up questions that Devin really bungled, but I appreciate they brought up the questions because it really kind of exposed an important difference between the two players.
Because Dylan, as much of a frat boy as he comes off as, was really good at dealing with the social aspect of the game.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's not that Devin didn't have a good social game. He had a great social game with the people that he had social relationships with. People who Eliza, Austin, Dylan, really loved him and really wanted to work with him.
Yeah.
But just that he just, I feel played too much of a under the radar game, and this has kind of been talked about a lot already, but he definitely could have come out of that cocoon a little earlier, and it was really great to get him all the way to the end, but it probably is not going to be enough to win you the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's I said, the thing that makes people sad is that I feel like Devin had a really respectable game, and he didn't get as much respect as he deserved from the jury, because I just think that they didn't really understand a lot of what he was doing, Not to say that like, he should have won, because I think that Dylan and Devin both had really good arguments for why they should have won, and they both had like they both had similar games, but also distinct differences. I just think that Devin maybe didn't really do a good job of selling the strategy that he played, which like that's on him. But I think that maybe some of the jurors sold him a little bit too short.
The game of
like,
Survivor is. It's not like who decides the winner is the editors or the audience at home, who gets to see all the footage. Like, part of the game is being able to convince people that you did stuff throughout the game, and you have to be able to do that. You have to not just be thought of as just an under the radar person who did everything. Like, I know he wasn't really that type of person. Like, he did a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, this comes up 30 bajillion times, but perception is everything,
Definitely. I think that Devin really didn't. Maybe he just didn't have the best read on the jury. Like, he thought that like this is dropping this big bomb on them would be like something that would really help him out, and because he didn't really understand the way he's perceived, it just kind of fell a little bit flat. And I think that he's expecting it to like, wow, when I reveal that I've had this secret relationship with Dylan this whole time, their minds will be blown and they're all gonna want to vote for me. And it just didn't really work the way that he thought it would. And I think that like, yeah, exactly what you're saying. Like, the perception is reality, and it's valid to play an under the radar game, but if you want to play that kind of game, you need to be able to defend it.
Yeah, but really who I think did it really well?
Get people to like see
Mallory.
Exactly what you did.
Mallory played a very similar game, I feel like, but also she was able to sell it so well.
Yep.
At Final Tribal Council, and like, she never had bungling answers, like, saying that the social game was important. She was able to like really sell to us like why she was able to play this under the radar game and have people underestimate her and yada yada yada.
Mallory literally had such a good final tribal
like, she had the textbook tribal council of what you want to do if you're an under the radar player.
Yeah.
Where,
literally.
I mean, if anything, she even like she oversold maybe some of the things she did, but she did it in such a convincing way that we just like believed it. Like the whole thing where she was like, "Oh yeah, like I voted for," like, I didn't believe Sarah's like fake advantage, so I voted for Sarah, even though she did believe it and she just didn't want to vote for Nick. Like, her being able to sell that was, I think, a really big thing she did, versus Devin was trying to oversell, like, oh yeah, I knew all about Elisa going home, and then he got like called out for it big time, and it made him look really bad. So I feel like, Mallory.
Sorry, I feel like I'm shitting on Devin too much, which I don't really mean to be doing. But like, I feel like that's the problem with dropping a bomb at Final Tribal Council. That is also like the same amount of bomb for the other person, like, it's equally Dylan's move or whatever that he had a secret relationship with Devin. It's harder to take credit for that, whereas Mallory is more accurately being like able to drop this bomb, which wasn't even real, like that put her ahead of Nick and Lucy, and able like to show like this is a step above them, whereas for Devin it was really just kind of like, oh, we both were doing this thing. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. And like, it seemed a little bit like Devin kind of just expected Will to vote for him because like, oh, like I outsmarted you, therefore like, you should vote for me. When he didn't. I don't think he really anticipated the emotional aspects of Will feeling betrayed, and then like. So like, I've just been betrayed by Devin.
I don't know if this actually like we've talked about this a little bit before, but like, if he did tell Aaron then that like, hey, this is what's happening, like when he voted her out, like before, like in a meeting or whatever, like, hey, this has all been happening, and he has kind of like the exclusive chance to make that bomb drop before Dylan. Does Aaron maybe like go to the jury and like want to fight for Devin a little bit, or maybe if he even kind of like takes control of it at that final 3 tribal council? I don't know. I just feel like there's definitely a way he could have played that better with her and with the jury.
Yeah, I really think that. I mean, Will was the biggest vote where he literally lost Will's vote. So that was, his vote number 4. He really just needs one more person. Either Ben or Aaron is probably his best bet. I think that he could, if he would have answered Ben's question better, maybe had a better performance overall, and maybe if he would have done some things differently at the Aaron Tribal. I still kind of think that Aaron is going to vote for Dylan. I think we asked her about it, but like, you never know. Like maybe things change if he brings up the Dylan Devin thing earlier, and then like has it really like,
sink in,
kind of like it's had the story of like, this is, I initiated this. This is all my idea. This is my move. And the jury had like some time to think about it.
Or maybe it wouldn't have, but like I feel like it's definitely something that you could have tried.
I actually do want to give Devin credit for that. Maybe that would have swayed some people. I don't know. Yeah. Or maybe he should have gotten rid of Dylan in the final 4 and went with Cassie instead. So yeah, Devin did play a good game. I think he really executed the under radar thing well. The relationship with Dylan was excellent. He played it almost flawlessly. Him and Dylan really flawlessly went through that final 5. I just think that he is a little bit too stubborn in the plan of, I need to go to the final 2 with Dylan. And he just made a few little mistakes there that I think if he would have maybe put himself out in front, invested in other relationships a little bit more, he maybe could have.
Well, I feel like we have 3 very strong.
I think he's
finalists, so
I think he's a really strong.
Hard to rank these 3
for sure. Yeah. I know. So we have Nick, Devin, and we have Mitch.
Yeah.
Shoot. Well, my gut feeling right now is Nick was 1 vote away from winning the game. That's closer than the other 2 made it.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean that he's inherently better? I mean, I guess that's something
it's weird because
to discuss.
I feel like Nick maybe had like a worse final tribal council, but also like I feel like he was better set up going into it, and like I don't know. It's just I know I feel like there was I don't know how much like to put stock in this, but like I feel like there was more controversy just in like the online reaction to Mallory beating Nick than there was to Dylan beating Devin. Even there was a fair amount of people who really wanted Devin to win. Don't get me wrong, but like I do feel like there's that kind of, maybe it's just because Nick played more like not under the radar game and was more feisty and confessionals and more like out there in the portion. But like there is maybe something to be said that like Nick was really doing a lot out there to advance himself. I don't know. Not that Devin. I'm just.
Yeah. I think that they were both perceptive, but I think that maybe that's the thing. They both were very perceptive, but Devin played really under the radar, whereas Nick was like definitely not under the radar. Like he was very visible, but I feel like Devin was on execute. Like I don't know. Devin was like, he wasn't always on the right side of the vote, but he always knew what was going on, and he had a plan that basically worked perfect from like beginning of the merge to the final 2. He had this plan of making it the final 2 with Dylan and getting to the final 3 with Cassie, and it basically worked exactly how he thought it would.
Yeah, and a lot of times Nick, like it wasn't really what he wanted, like not his plan, but he went along with it anyways.
Doing he could to survive every week, basically. Yeah. And I feel like, I mean, I don't know. Nick was so close to winning, but also like he did get a little bit. I don't want to say he got lucky that Sarah went out because he did beat you in the tiebreaker, but
I
I don't know. If you would have went to the final three with you or Mike, you would have
I don't know
lost.
if Nick. I feel like Nick went with like his
But I
best
guess you could say the
possible
same
final
thing.
three of like the
Devin would've went
final
with, like, Aaron,
6 or
so.
7 or so. Whereas like I feel like Devin would have beaten like Cassie. Like he probably would have had a chance against Will.
Yeah.
Whereas Nick, maybe there's not a lot of path. Like he could have gone to the end in a few different ways, but like maybe this would have been his best one to win, and he still lost it by like definitely the slimmest of margins. But I don't know. This is tough.
Yeah. Devin made a good move. It was mostly Elise's move, but Devin also had a really good move to save himself at the Ceremonious Tribal. Whereas Nick, he definitely made moves, but he didn't. Like his biggest move, I would say, was
he did
winning
like
immunity at
have
Final Nine
connection with Maggie that caused
directly
her to
saving
turn
himself.
Earlier, and
yeah, shoot,
yeah. Mitch is a. You know what?
We also haven't even talked about Mitch. Mitch.
Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, I would say that compared to the other two, Mitch was not as perceptive. Doesn't mean it's worse, but like, whereas the other two were like very perceptive. That was kind of what they were known for. I feel like Mitch like, always thought of himself as like this biggest.
I feel like looking through some of the lens, I don't see him winning in any other final three. Like he loses to Leia, he loses to Thal, he loses to Liz. You know.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like Devin, that's why maybe I'm almost kind of leaning to Devin being the best because I can see I can see scenarios, and combinations where Devin wins. But also, I guess we haven't done our old 100 simulation, whatever. But, yeah.
This is tough. This is like the first time where all three of them. I'm having trouble. Like, I don't know. What are your thoughts, Sarah, on this?
Yeah, this one is hard because they're all so different. I don't know. Like Devin just didn't really show his game very well to the people who were on the jury. Nick's like is a louder player, but like I feel like if he happened to get on a better, like if he started on Ohana, I think he would have done better. Like I feel like I would put Nick first, and then maybe I don't know. They're all like pretty good.
Yeah. Jack, you were mentioning our age-old simulation strategy. I do feel like me and Mitch might, pull a Mitch, and you think that
I feel like
he should make the season a bunch of times, he's going to make a big mistake with sending a chat to the wrong group again.
I feel like thinking from a simulation standpoint of just them as players, I do feel like Nick is the best of the three, and I feel like like you said, like him on Ohana or him on like a different tribe that is winning or whatever, if you're playing with different players, like I feel like he might be able to make the connections easier.
Yeah. He was in kind of a weird situation where he kind of got ditched by his alliance for not really any reason other than us kind of just being threatened by him, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like he didn't really do anything other than talk to people, which
It's because he was like talking to people. We were allowed to talk to.
But what did he really do that was that sketchy? Like he would.
It's because I feel like it was because
Yeah,
was
we
the least
feel like
easy
I know,
to
like
be
from our
controlled.
perspective,
Yeah.
obviously we
That's
didn't
why
want
we
him
thought
to do
he
that.
was
But like
struggling.
from the perspective of like,
He didn't put up with our bullshit.
yeah,
He was like the only one.
and I feel like if he isn't running into
Mhm.
like, yeah, because he was kind of
So
like
then we
trying
had
to
just
plant
like
the seeds here.
poisoned
When
everybody
he was
else
like, yes,
against
Sam, Jack,
him.
and Sarah are too close, and they're like they have Maggie loyal to them. Yeah, so yeah. So like I don't know. I don't think that was necessarily a bad thing for
Yeah.
Nick to do. It kind of just like he just didn't really know that Maggie was going to come
I
right back
still,
to us and throw
I
him
don't
under the
know.
bus.
I have
So,
a hesitation, but I'll
yeah,
allow
okay.
it if you
I'm okay
if
with
you
Nick
two out
first.
me.
I
Yeah, weirdly I am, even though I was just like railing against Devin like 5 minutes ago.
why are you thinking of Devin?
I think so. I don't know.
So are we all good with putting Mitch in third?
Yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
Mitch is just like I said, we're getting the second place players here. It's no insult to be third. But
Yeah, I think it
given by
just
our
comes down
conversation, I would probably
to
agree with that.
I think in this
Nick
particular
versus Devin.
season, like in like
Mhm.
each of their particular seasons, I feel like Devin played a better game in season 3 than Nick played in season 2. But I feel like as a Survivor player, Nick is better than Devin. If that makes sense.
I think that makes sense.
I just feel like
but
I just
I feel like we
at
are
the end of the
going
day,
off
I
of
see Devin winning season 3 a lot more.
Wait, I thought we
who
were
played
going by
better
how
this
good they are of a
season.
player.
I don't know what we go by. We change the rules.
It's definitely by
every
how
time.
good they are of a player. That's why we do the simulation.
Yeah. But this is the tiebreaker, so maybe.
But the thing is, like,
I always thought it was who was the better
I feel like
player.
that's the tiebreaker if they're equally good players. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but then there's also like circumstances.
Yes, but like, who's a better player? But you had to base it off of this, like, just what we saw in the season, and then if the season's, yeah, I know. Okay, yeah, it's the thing I keep getting stuck on, and which like I don't know, I keep going back and forth on it, is that Devin did have a lot more control over this merge than Nick had. But I also like can definitely see that like Nick was one vote away from winning the game. He was clearly a really strong player and very perceptive and did a lot more and was, I think just more expected as a player. Yeah. Like we knew that he did things versus Devin was not able to really convince the jury of that. I don't know. And also, Devin did mention at one point in the merge, like,
that's true.
I don't think I can beat anybody except for Dylan and Cassie. And he might have even gotten bailed out a little bit by it being a final two.
Lucy and wins,
Because with the final 3, Aaron definitely wins. And
yeah,
I think that Nick could have went in a decent number of final 3s at the merge and had a good chance at winning.
They got voted out early merge.
With a combination of Abby and Bree and maybe even like Maggie, Lucy, and Mallory. Cheaty was like his person. So,
Sarah, what do you say? Are you saying
this is a tough one, but yeah, I
no, I agree.
For the sake of it, I'll go with
originally.
All
right, I'll be the dissenting vote and say Devin.
Nick in first, Devin in second, and in third place we have Mitch. So let's let's finish this off with our winner rankings. We get to rank the 3 winners of Survivor Michigan. This is a very distinct title, very important title, because one person is going to be the number 1 winner of Survivor Michigan. So, yeah. I just want to say that I think, much love to Mallory.
Yeah.
I'll probably put Mallory
as much as I'm
third.
trying to find an argument, because I really want to make an argument for her. I'm not sure I can make.
Like, because where she really shined was like the end of the season.
And I feel like
whereas Dylan was kind of
we spent a lot of time talking. Sorry.
No, like I feel like Thal and Dylan were more in the know for the rest of the season, whereas Mallory was killing it at the end.
Yeah. And I feel like while Dylan, even just if we're comparing Dylan and Mallory like they were both killing it at the end, but I feel like Dylan was killing it more at the end. Like I feel like Mallory was like really killing it at like the very, very end, like the final tribal council and and everything. Whereas Dylan like really like from I don't know, like the
final. Yeah.
Like from like the prisoner's dilemma on, like Brady was like I mean, not Brady. Dylan was like in complete control almost.
Final 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Dylan at the final, we get to the final 6. Every single person in the game is loyal to Dylan. You have Brady and Aaron who are loyal to him. You have Cassie who's number 1, Devin who's his number 1, Will who thinks he's in alliance with him. Like final 6 to the end, no one's ever gonna get rid of Dylan, and there's like no chance of it happening. And Mallory, yeah, like people weren't going to get rid of her, but it was more because it was just not because it was less because of alliances and more because like she just wasn't anybody's radar to get rid of. And yeah, Dylan started playing a little bit earlier, I think. So Tarowsky, I guess it's between Tarowsky and Dylan then.
Probably Tarowsky. I think for sure Tarowsky actually.
That's a tough one.
But I don't know. Dylan probably makes it further.
Yeah.
See, I'm wondering how well Tarowsky does without Thal. I don't know. Like I feel like the Liz vote especially, he's really kind of like bailed out by the connection with Thal, which is a connection that goes back not just in the game, but years. Like imagine if Dylan had another person named Dylan in the game from the very.
But that's also like that also makes it difficult because you have to keep that a secret.
Which Dylan also kept a secret about Alliance.
But there's not like so much evidence.
I just feel like I want to like go for a hot take position here.
That's true.
And fight for Dylan.
But the Alex's did get found out. Yeah. No, yeah. Honestly, like, no, I feel like it's a good argument to have because going into it, I always thought it was super obvious, like, oh yeah, Tarowsky, then Dylan, then Mallory. But like, I don't want to sell Dylan's game short because Tarowsky did have a lot of times where people really wanted him out, and he kind of just survived because people were too afraid of idols. Yeah. Which I guess it's a valid strategy to play, but like I feel like he did really kind of just barely skate by for some of those rounds, versus Dylan was never in danger of getting out, and he really executed their strategy perfectly. Of like, I'm going to put shields in front of me, and I'm going to strike at the right moment to where I'm respected as a player, but I'm also not super threatening. And then he has all these people loyal to him that are going to take him to the end, versus Tarowsky kind of had to like rely on winning immunities, playing idols, Thal being a bigger threat than him, and Thal getting voted off first.
And speaking
and Mitch and Leia
of Leia,
this, like really crazy,
I just remember from her
dumb move
time on the podcast, our great friend Leia, I love Leia. Like she really like said how much that a lot of people didn't really like. They kind of knew about Tarowsky and Thal. Like I don't know how much we want to put credence into that or what have you, but like they really like they knew Tarowsky was like a threat or whatever, but they just thought they could get rid of him. And like he wasn't really in control of what was happening. Whereas Dylan was kind of like Machiavellian behind the scenes, controlling a lot of what was happening in that late game on, even if he didn't really have as big of a presence in the early, like in the pre-merge. Like I feel like Tarowsky had like a great pre-merge. He had that amazing 2 idol play and everything. But like yeah. That's true. That's in the first merge too. But I feel like that's also kind of early.
He also flipped Akshay. That was
I don't know.
Big.
I'm trying to make an argument for Dylan here because I feel like when it really came down to it, Dylan took it more into his own hands, whereas Tarowsky was relying a lot on some factors outside his control.
What's your reason, Sarah, for saying Tarowsky so
game
quickly and just like as
made more
your gut
flashy moves and still somehow made it to the end? Like there was no doubt to me that if he made it to the end, he would win.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, this is another hard one. Yeah, I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know. The thing is, Tarowsky, I feel like he was doing a lot more in the pre-merge than Dylan was. I feel like as much as I love the devil's advocate for Dylan, I do kind of feel like Tarowsky played he played harder, which I respect. I don't know if it's the most efficient way to win the game, but I don't know. I just feel like it was much harder to pull off what Tarowsky did than what Dylan did.
Yeah.
Which
I know what you mean. Like the thing with Dylan is that like the whole, wow, that was something
like I want to give
meme is because he didn't really do much in the game or record much of the game for the first like 4 weeks or so. Like that was his only kind of footage, was wanting to splice that in. Whereas Tarowsky from the word go was going ham and scheming all these plans with Thal and everything. And yeah, you think back to like that one challenge that was just kind of like the tribal discussion thing. Like he shined there. He has absolutely fantastic legs. Yeah. I did want to play devil's advocate for Dylan a little bit there, but I do want to go with Tarowsky at the end of the day.
Jack.
Oh, Mitski does not agree. That was like just Mitski screaming right after I finished talking.
I thought that was like one of you like screaming like, we have the number one. All right. Our official rankings for the winners is Tarowsky at number 1, Dylan number 2, and Mallory number
that was something.
3. We made it through the 3rd season of KYTL. That was something. Man. So coming up, we are going to be seeing some returnees in season 4. Get a little teaser at the end.
The Lion has returned.
That was pretty fun.
Savenya.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, Matthew. Yes, we got to have some great season 1 discussion right here near the end, and now we're gonna get to see Matthew Israel himself. Wait, who was that again? Who?
But you know what?
I
think we ranked him as the worst 10th or 11th place of all time. So let's see if he can bench that. Maybe move up in the rankings. That's going to be tough. That's going to be tough.
Yeah, maybe
Chidi will be on the season.
We'll see if he can beat.
And they can go head to head. Yeah, that's what the fans want. Is Matthew versus Chidi.
Yeah, we can really see the show that we've been waiting to see. Yes. All right. Well, it's been an honor to get to speak about season 3 for all of you guys, and to
another
talk with
great
you,
season
Jack
ahead of
and
us.
Sarah.
I'm really excited to find out who the last 3 returnees are.
Oh, I know.
There's gonna be some reactions.
I can't wait to see who they are and see reactions. I'm sure that it'll be great.
Wow.
There will be reaction.
That was something.
Cute.
All right. Wow. It sure
Time for me to
was.
eat.
All right.
Ooh.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks
See
for
ya.
listening.